Discover the miraculous transformations in Numbers, unveiling God's divine plan for 40 years. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, the Lord called unto his people, commanding them to recount their numbers and prepare for the battle ahead. The Israelites stood poised at the foot of Mount Sinai, their hearts heavy with uncertainty, yet burdened with hope. Having journeyed out of the chains of Egyptian bondage, they gathered as a nation ready to witness the divine plan unfold as they teetered on the brink of the promised land. Hear, O Israel! The Lord our God commands us to count his people, and it is he who shall guide us into our future, proclaimed Moses, a humble and reluctant leader, yet faithful in purpose. His voice soared over the hum of the congregation, filled with authority and tenderness. What lay ahead was daunting, and yet, with the voice of God resounding in the air, the people readied themselves for whatever was to come. Among them, Elimelech held fast to his young son, his heart torn as memories flooded back the abundance of Egypt, the security they once knew. How easy it would be to yield to the whispers of despair. Yet, with each miracle unfolding, doubt began to wane. Divine sustenance of golden manna lay upon the ground each morning, a miraculous testament to God's provision as the voice of the Lord echoed, "Gather only what you need for today." This divine command birthed both trust and anxiety among the people. Elimelech observed his neighbors cautiously. Some collected more than needed, their fear of scarcity overshadowing God's abundant supply. The whispers of longing for Egypt, filled with envy of past comforts, danced through the fires of evening as rebellion simmered beneath the surface. "Would that we had died in the land of Egypt," the disheartened sighed. The atmosphere crackled with tension, a spiritual battleground of faith versus fear. Then came a day when 12 spies were dispatched into the land of Canaan, a courageous step toward their destiny. Elimelech's heart quickened with eagerness as he volunteered, filled with anticipation of the promise awaiting them. They journeyed through valleys rich in bounty, grapes so large they required 2 men to carry a single cluster, overshadowed by the presence of giants, imposing and fearsome. The report upon their return was mixed. 10 spies quivered with fear and heralded the daunting tales of their foes. "We are not able," they lamented, sending waves of discontent through the camp. Yet Caleb and Joshua rose like fiery beacons amidst despair, urging the people's hearts towards the truth. "If the Lord is with us, we are more than able," they proclaimed, stimulating a flicker of hope. Elimelech felt the pulse of anticipation within him, calling forth unity in purpose against the shadows of doubt. As whispers of despair gathered momentum, God's voice sliced through, gentle yet commanding. The stakes mounted, and the tension wove tightly around their collective spirit. With each step toward the Jordan River, an unresolved question loomed like a giant before them: would they dare to trust the Lord? The narrative pressed on, filled with urgency and divine mystery. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select All Notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As the mournful murmurs reverberated through the camp, God's heart ached for his people, each heartbeat resonating with divine promise. The path stretched ahead laden with glorious promise and peril. In this defining moment, a new generation awaited to rise, imbued with the faith and courage to embrace the land. Awaiting their claim not just as conquerors but as his redeemed, as they stood at the precipice of their divine destiny. As the dawn broke over the encampment, the sun's rays pierced the morning mist, illuminating the anxious faces of the Israelites. Their hearts were burdened with a contest of faith, a battle not against flesh and blood, but against the doubts that threatened to ensnare their souls. Like waves battering the shore, the fear of failure surged among them, gilded with memories of betrayal and suffering. Then, it was on a day marked by heavy clouds overhead that Moses ascended the summit of Sinai once more. The whispers of the people echoed behind him, their expectancy palpable. Climbing higher, he sought the face of the Lord, desperate for guidance in this grave hour. "Yahweh, your people need courage in the face of giants," he pleaded, his voice a frail whisper like that of a child seeking assurance, and then, the Lord answered, enveloping Moses in a presence as fiery and bright as the midday sun. Tell the sons of Israel, say unto them, I have gone before you, and I will deliver the adversary into your hand. Be strong and of good courage, for the land is a gift I have set before you. As Moses descended the mountain, a new assurance was etched upon his heart, a renewed spirit igniting within him. He gathered the people, their eyes upon him, and with the authority of God upon his lips, he declared, Fear not, for the Lord your God has spoken promise. We shall claim the land flowing with milk and honey. A hush settled over the assembly. Elimelech felt his breath catch in his throat, the weight of the proclamation sinking deep within him. This was the moment the Lord had prepared, no longer could they linger in the shadows of doubt. Let us go forth. Moses commanded fervently, sensing the stirring of faith. Let us prepare to cross the Jordan. The time is at hand to witness the hand of God as he fulfills every promise. The assembly erupted, shouts of joy mingled with cries of fear, a tempest of emotions swirling as faith began to rise against the tomb of despair. With resolve shining in their eyes, the heads of families began to gather their belongings. Elimelech found himself among a band of worshippers, his spirit cascading with newfound strength. Encouraged by the declaration of God's faithfulness, they prepared for the march forward, yet, amidst the fervor, shadows lingered, faces still reflecting uncertainty, the memory of giants loomed, and it weighed heavily on the minds of many. The 10 spies' fearful report echoed like a lingering specter. Will we be swallowed whole by their strength? They whispered to one another as visions of despair returned uninvited, but Caleb and Joshua, fueled by the promise, stepped forward, their tone unwavering. If the Lord has brought us this far, he will not abandon us. Have we forgotten what he has done? The Red Sea parted, the bitter waters sweetened, what more proof do we need? Their impassioned cry pierced the doubts, igniting flames of faith among the people. The next day, they broke camp at dawn, marching towards the Jordan River, a living testament to God's command. At the river's edge, with the waters swollen ahead, the people halted. They hesitated at the formidable barrier that stood before them, but Joshua stepped to the fore. Choose this day whom you shall serve. He called, emboldened by God's promise. For every step we take is a step towards our inheritance. The might of our God shall prevail over all obstacles. As the sun reached its zenith, God's voice thundered like the morning, a promise woven in the wind. Prepare your hearts, for you shall see wonders that will stir generations to come. In that moment, the air thrummed with anticipation, their hearts beat in concert with the divine cadence of promise. What awaited them was still cloaked in mystery, but with renewed courage, they stood on the threshold of their destiny. And thus, the journey, ignited by faith and marked by divine intervention, was poised for revelation. The Lord's sovereignty was ever present, whispering, but what they could not yet fathom was the miracle waiting just beyond the waters. As the sun cast its golden hue over the camp, the people gathered at the banks of the Jordan, their hearts echoing with the weight of impending promise and the threat of despair. A hush fell upon the multitude as Moses called for silence, his presence a steadying force against the tide of uncertainty. Israel, he declared, his voice resonating like a trumpet, the Lord has commanded us to prepare for the crossing. Gather your households and remember who has brought us here. He leads us into the land he promised to our fathers, the land of great abundance. The murmurs of anticipation began to rise, a swell of hope breaking through the fear that had held them captive. Yet amid the hopeful cries, Elimelech felt his heart pound with disbelief. But how? He whispered, fears clawing at the edges of his faith. Then Joshua approached, his face lit with the unwavering light of trust in God's assurances. We do not go alone, for the Lord of hosts is with us. He will part the waters as he did before. With those words, the people found fresh resolve, the shadows of doubt beginning to recede like a mist dissipating in the dawn. The elders of the tribe gathered, myriad voices rising in unity to affirm their courage. Yes. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob shall be our beacon. They proclaimed, inspired by the fervor that now filled their ranks. As they prepared to step into the waters, a deep stillness enveloped them. Moses raised his staff, the symbol of divine authority, as he prayed fervently for the outpouring of God's power. O Lord, let your promise be fulfilled. Let our heirs know that this day, you have chosen to reveal your greatness. At the moment when they ventured forth, the waters thundered as they receded, parting like the heavens themselves. The ground beneath their feet became dry, an ancient path set before them. With gasps of awe and disbelief, the Israelites stepped forward, each footfall a testament to faith renewed. Moreover, God's presence enveloped them in a palpable way, like a thick cloud of glory leading them onward. Remember this day. He instructed through Joshua, his voice reverberating in their spirits. Take stones from the bed of the river as a sign for future generations, so they may know that I am the Lord who delivered you. As they crossed into the land of promise, Caleb and Joshua called out, their praises lifting to the heavens. The Lord has indeed given us the victory. Fear not the giants, for our God fights for us. Their words echoed through the camp, igniting a wildfire of faith. Once across, they built a monument of 12 stones, each representing a tribe, a sacred proclamation of victory and remembrance. The assembly watched as Moses prayed over them, his arms outstretched, interceding for the generations that would follow and their covenant with Yahweh. As the dust settled and the sound of the rushing river faded into the distance, a whisper of concern lingered amongst the gathering. What if we face challenges we cannot overcome? Elimelech's voice trembled as he turned to Joshua. The shadows of giants in their land weighed heavily. Joshua responded firmly, the Lord has promised deliverance. The battle belongs to him alone, and he works all things for our good. With spirits lifted, they rejoiced, but even in their celebration, the unseen adversaries loomed, the depth of God's plan still unfolding like a scroll. What they did not yet understand was that every challenge they would encounter would serve to refine their faith, molding them into a people of promise. Thus began an era marked by the miraculous and the mundane, a journey of discovery that would stretch for 40 long years, shaping their identity and their destiny. And above it all, the Lord's whisper echoed, but what they could not yet foresee was the divine orchestration. I have set in place a plan that will reverberate through the ages. As the echoes of triumph resounded in their hearts, the Israelites began to survey their new surroundings. The land before them sprawled, rich and fertile, whispering promises of hope and plenty, yet uncharted dangers lay hidden beneath its surface. The air was thick with anticipation as Moses, with fire in his spirit, gathered the people. Let us prepare to claim this land. He proclaimed with fervor. With the Lord's mighty hand, we shall vanquish the nations that rise against us. Remember, we are not merely conquerors but a covenant people, set apart to reflect his glory. The elders nodded, their faces illuminated by the light of renewed faith. Yes, we shall take possession. The Lord said it is ours. Their voices rose, culminating in a fervent refrain, yet amidst the zeal was a quiet unrest. Elimelech, still struggling to quell his anxieties, glanced toward Caleb and Joshua, who stood resolute amid the throng. Will we truly face the giants? He dared to inquire, half-shrouded in trepidation. Caleb turned, eyes aflame with conviction. Indeed, we shall face giants, but we are not alone. Remember the past, how the Lord delivered us from Pharaoh's hand and parted the sea. The promise of his presence is our shield. Yes, Joshua added, our descendants will speak of these battles and how the Lord fought for us. Each victory will be a testament to his power and a beacon of hope for generations to come. With their resolve solidifying, the tribe broke into groups, strategizing how to engage the tribes of Canaan that occupied the very land the Lord had promised. They moved like a tide, filled with faith yet cautious of what awaited. Each step was a prayer, and every glance a reminder of their covenant identity. However, the days turned into weeks, and uncertainty remained. The inhabitants of the land were fierce, and fortified cities loomed, making even the bravest hearts waver. Many began to murmur. Why are we here if we are to be met with such trials? They lamented. Have we exchanged one bondage for another? Moses felt a weight upon him, a cry of unrest reaching the very heavens. In his solitude, he ascended into the mountains, seeking the face of the Almighty. There, on the crest, enveloped by divine presence, he pleaded, "O Lord, show me your ways, guide us through this wilderness." In response, the Lord spoke, his voice like thunder but also like a father's whisper. "Tell the people to be strong and courageous. Every obstacle they face shall be a stepping stone to deeper faith. I have not led them into despair but into a journey of transformation and trust. They must rely on me." Moses returned, his countenance radiant, filled with the divine confidence bestowed upon him. "Hear me, O Israel. The Lord our God has spoken. Each trial is but a test, a refining fire to mold you as his treasured possession. Stand firm." The people were stirred, the words igniting embers of faith. They saw not just their daunting challenges but the promises that were embedded within them. The questions began to shift. What is the Lord teaching us? They mused, wrestling with their fears even as hope kindled in their hearts. As tensions among families quieted, they gathered to recount the wonders of God. A fresh resolve began to blossom, yet unknown to them, greater challenges awaited as they prepared to confront their inheritance. The Lord reminded them through his faithful servant, for what they could not perceive was the depth of my sovereign plan and unveiling that would bring both trial and triumph, shaping not just this generation but those yet to come. As days passed and the Israelites grew in strength and unity, the Lord instructed Moses to send forth spies into the land of Canaan. The people were eager to gather information about the land flowing with milk and honey that had been promised. "Send men to explore the land of Canaan," the Lord commanded, "to see what the land is like and whether the people who dwell there are strong or weak, few or many." Moses summoned a leader from each tribe, 12 men in total, and entrusted them with the mission. "Go into the land and assess the cities, the soil, and the fruits," he urged. "Bring back the bounty of the land, that we may know our inheritance." The elders nodded, their faith emboldened by the prospect of tangible evidence of the promise they were to inherit. The spies departed, traversing the hills and valleys, parents bidding farewell to sons and daughters who ventured into the unknown with the weight of the covenant upon their shoulders. For 40 days and 40 nights, they journeyed, surveying every corner of the land. They saw fertile fields, towering grapes, and giants, men of extraordinary stature from the Anakim lineage, whose presence filled the hearts of the spies with both awe and fear. Upon returning, the spies carried with them clusters of grapes so large that 2 men were needed to bear them on a pole. They presented this bounty before Moses and the congregation, reveling in the fruitfulness of the land. "Truly, it flows with milk and honey," they declared, their eyes glinting with the glory of abundance, yet, mingled with their report came doubt. "But the people who dwell there are fierce, and the cities are fortified and very large. We saw the descendants of Anak there." The air thickened with tension as fear stole the joy of the discovery. "We are not able to go up against these people, for they are stronger than we are," they lamented, seeing only the challenges before them. The hearts of many grew heavy as the realization of their predicament set in. Amidst this critical moment, Caleb and Joshua rose among them, their spirits unyielding. "Let us go up at once and occupy it, for we are well able to overcome it," Caleb exclaimed, his voice cutting through the tumult of despair. "The Lord is with us. Do not fear them." But the cries of the frightened spies cast a pall over the assembly. "We are like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we must seem to them," they echoed, their words laden with hopelessness. The plight of their hearts echoed against the backdrop of the blessings they had witnessed. Moses fell on his face before the Lord, pleading for mercy. "O God, do not let this rebellion against your promise stand." Meanwhile, Joshua and Caleb, filled with the Spirit of the Lord, entreated the people. "The land is exceedingly good. If the Lord delights in us, he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land that flows with milk and honey." A palpable silence fell among the crowd, the weight of their choice hovering precariously in the air. They stood at the precipice of faith and fear, a moment suspended between divine promise and earthly terror. The Lord's heart was grieved, for he knew their disbelief. "How long will this people despise me?" He spoke, his voice echoing through the wilderness. They have seen my miracles and yet fail to trust. For every man who doubts, they shall wander 30 more years, until a new generation rises to claim the promise. The path before them was now shrouded in divine mystery. Little did they comprehend that their steps, though weighed with fear, were destined to unveil God's sovereign plan through trials that would transform their hearts. As they stood before the Lord in that crucial hour, they were unwitting participants in a much grander narrative, one that would impact generations yet to come. And it came to pass that, as the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness, the congregation of Israel was filled with dread. All the people wept that night, raising their voices in lamentation. Would that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would that we had died in this wilderness, they cried out, their hearts heavy with despair. Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before the assembly, interceding for the people. They pleaded with them, the land we passed through to explore is exceedingly good. If the Lord delights in us, he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land flowing with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against the Lord, nor fear the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their protection is removed from them, and the Lord is with us, do not fear them. Yet the cries of the multitude were like a tempest against the will of God. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, How long will this people despise me? And how long will they not believe in me, with all the signs which I have performed among them? I will strike them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and I will make of you a nation greater and mightier than they. Moses, trembling at the pronouncement, appealed to the mercy of God. Pardon the iniquity of this people, I pray, according to the greatness of your mercy, just as you have forgiven this people, from Egypt even until now. The Lord's anger was stirred, yet he acknowledged the plea of his faithful servant. Very well, the Lord replied, I have pardoned them according to your word, but truly, as I live, all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord. Because all these men who have seen my glory and the signs which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and have put me to the test now these 10 times, and have not heeded my voice, they certainly shall not see the land of which I swore to their fathers, nor shall any of those who rejected me see it. Caleb and Joshua, though grieved by the judgment, remained steadfast in their faith. They tore their clothes in mourning and spoke to the children of Israel, saying, The land we passed through to spy out is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land flowing with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against the Lord, nor fear the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their defense has departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Do not fear them. But the people threatened to stone them, and the glory of the Lord appeared in the tabernacle to all the children of Israel. The Lord said to Moses, How long will these people reject me? And how long will they not believe me, with all the signs which I have done among them? In his wrath, the Lord decreed, They shall not enter my rest. The Israelites heard the words of judgment, and despair cast a dark shadow over them, for they were now bound to wander in the wilderness for 40 years, 1 year for each day of their unfaithfulness, until a new generation would rise to see the promise fulfilled. As they stood there, amidst fear and uncertainty, the destiny of the Israelites hung in the balance, unbeknownst to them that these years of wandering would be woven into the fabric of their faith. Their unyielding trials would yield transformation, and through their wandering, a new covenant identity would emerge. Yet, the heart of God remained ever faithful to his promise. For I will bring your children into the land which you rejected, the Lord whispered through the wind, revealing his sovereign plan, destined to unfurl in the fullness of time. And it came to pass, in the wilderness of Zin, that the people observed a great hardship. The wilderness was barren and dry, and the thirst of the congregation grew fierce. They murmured against Moses and Aaron, saying, Would that we had perished when our brethren fell before the Lord. Why have you brought the assembly of the Lord into this wilderness, so that we and our cattle should die here? And why have you made us come up out of Egypt to bring us to this evil place? It is not a place of grain or figs or vines or pomegranates, nor is there any water to drink. Moses and Aaron went from the assembly to the entrance of the tabernacle of meeting and fell on their faces. The glory of the Lord appeared to them, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Take the rod, you and your brother Aaron gather the congregation together. Speak to the rock before their eyes, and it will yield its water. Thus you shall bring water for them out of the rock, and give drink to the congregation and their animals. So Moses took the rod from before the Lord, as he commanded him. And Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly before the rock. He said to them, Hear now, you rebels. Must we bring water for you out of this rock? And Moses lifted his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod, and water gushed out abundantly, and the congregation and their animals drank. But the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, Because you did not believe me, to hallow me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore you shall not bring this assembly into the land which I have given them. This was the water of Meribah, because the children of Israel contended with the Lord, and he was hallowed among them. Then the children of Israel journeyed from Kadesh, and the people of Edom refused to let them pass through their territory. So Israel turned away and sought another way. They journeyed on, and everything seemed as a shadow of despair. Yet God remained a presence with them, unseen yet guiding their path. As the days passed, fiery serpents entered among the people, and they bit the people. Many of the children of Israel died. The congregation came to Moses and said, We have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against you. Pray to the Lord that he take away the serpents from us. So Moses prayed for the people. Then the Lord instructed Moses, Make a fiery serpent and set it on a pole, and it shall be that everyone who is bitten, when he looks at it, shall live. Moses made a bronze serpent and put it on a pole, and so it was, if a serpent had bitten anyone, when he looked at the bronze serpent, he lived. The years rolled on, filled with lessons of faith and obedience, the people learning that the journey through the wilderness was not merely a passage through sand and stone, but a transformation of their hearts. Their identity was molded in the trials. They learned to depend solely on the Lord their God. Yet, they remained unaware that their wandering would ultimately refine them, preparing them for the promise that lay ahead. In their doubts, God would reveal his steadfast nature, and in their trials, his faithfulness would shine like the brightest star, for the Lord said, I will not forsake my covenant with you, nor will I abandon the work of my hands. Secrets of his sovereign will awaited to be unveiled, and the fulfillment of his grand design loomed just beyond the horizon, waiting for the appointed time. And the people journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to go around the land of Edom, and the soul of the people became very discouraged on the way. They spoke against God and against Moses, saying, Why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no food and no water, and our soul loathes this worthless bread. Then the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and many of the children of Israel died. Therefore, the people came to Moses and said, We have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against you. Pray to the Lord that he take away the serpents from us. So Moses prayed for the people, and the Lord said to Moses, Make a fiery serpent and set it on a pole, and it shall be that everyone who is bitten, when he looks at it, shall live. So Moses made a bronze serpent and put it on a pole, and so it was, if a serpent had bitten anyone, when he looked at the bronze serpent, he lived. In the midst of their trials, the people began to see that their complaints brought forth the very punishments they dreaded. The bronze serpent became a symbol of hope, a testament to God's mercy amidst judgment. Each look upon the serpent was a confession of their need and a cry for divine deliverance. As they continued their journey, they came to the land of the Amorites. Israel sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites, saying, Let us pass through your land, we will not turn aside into fields or vineyards, we will not drink water from wells. We will go along the king's highway, we will not turn to the right hand or to the left until we have passed through your territory. But Sihon would not allow Israel to pass through his territory. Instead, he gathered his people and went out against Israel in the wilderness. He came to Jahaz and fought against Israel. Then the Lord God of Israel delivered Sihon and all his people into the hand of Israel, and they killed them to the last man. Thus, Israel possessed all the land of the Amorites. The people celebrated the victory, yet their hearts were still plagued by doubt and longing for Egypt. They marveled at the wonders God had done among them, and yet they faltered at the rivers of fear. They saw the power of the Lord manifest in their battles but often turned back to the very things intended to enslave them. In the intensity of their travels, they arrived at a place called Baal-peor. Yet the Israelites began to indulge in harlotry with the women of Moab. They invited the people to the sacrifices of their gods, and the people ate and bowed down to their gods. Thus, Israel was joined to Baal of Peor, and the anger of the Lord was aroused against Israel. The Lord said to Moses, "Take all the leaders of the people and hang the offenders before the Lord, out in the sun, that the fierce anger of the Lord may turn away from Israel." And Moses said to the judges of Israel, "Every one of you kill his men who were joined to Baal of Peor." Amidst judgment, there also flowed a stream of grace. A man among the sons of Israel brought a Midianite woman to his brethren in the sight of Moses and the people. In a moment of righteous zeal, Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, took a spear and followed the man into the tent, piercing through both him and the woman. In this act, God's covenant was rekindled with Israel. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, has turned back my wrath from the children of Israel, because he was zealous with my zeal among them, so that I did not consume the children of Israel in my zeal." Therefore, his covenant of peace was established with Phinehas, a lasting priesthood. The wilderness echoed with lessons, while the promised land loomed nearer yet still unseen. In their struggles with idolatry and discontentment, there arose a reminder: God's plans often unfold through trials and faithfulness. The collective journey, marked with moments of glory and shame, was weaving a tapestry of redemption. The trials that lay ahead were a testament to God's sovereignty, as he prepared his people for the land flowing with milk and honey. Each event, each turn, was part of a greater narrative. The one who calls and prepares his people, inviting them to trust in his unseen hands. What lay ahead was unknown, yet within every conflict and every victory, God was penning the story of his relentless grace, revealing deeper truths about his nature and the covenant that would ultimately change the world. The fullness of his plan continued to unfold, beyond the horizon, awaiting his appointed time. And the children of Israel continued their wanderings in the wilderness, moving from the land of the Amorites onward, and the Lord spoke again to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and say unto them, when you enter the land of Canaan, which I am giving to you for your possession, and you plant any kind of food tree, then you shall count its fruit as forbidden. 3 years it shall be forbidden to you, it shall not be eaten." Moses conveyed the command of the Lord to the people, reminding them that their new land was a gift from the Almighty, meant to be treated with reverence and obedience. Each tree, each harvest, would symbolize the beginning of their journey into rest and abundance, a fulfillment of the promise made to their forefathers. As days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the journeys of Israel did not go unchallenged. The Ammonites and Moabites, still seething from Israel's victories, plotted against them stealthily. They sent emissaries to consult with their soothsayers and diviners, seeking a way to bring down the chosen people of God. In this troubled time, Balaam, the son of Beor, was summoned, for he was known far and wide as a man who spoke with authority and whose words carried weight. The elders of Moab came to him, saying, "Come and curse this people for us, for they are too mighty for us. Perhaps we shall be able to defeat them and drive them out of the land." But the Lord God had other plans. That night, he came to Balaam, warning him against the plight that lay before him. "You shall not go with them, you shall not curse the people, for they are blessed." Balaam, though tempted by the silver and gold promised to him, obeyed the voice of the Lord and proclaimed, "I cannot go beyond the word of the Lord my God, to do less or more." Yet trouble brewed. The allure of wealth turned Balaam's heart, and he secretly sought the favor of the king. In his arrogance, he set out on his journey to Balak, though the anger of the Lord burned against him. The angel of the Lord stood in the way, but it was only a lowly donkey that sighted the divine presence, for Balaam's eyes were blind to the holy. "Why have you struck me these 3 times?" The donkey spoke, and in that moment, God opened Balaam's eyes. He saw the angel of the Lord standing before him with a drawn sword. Trembling, he fell to his face, acknowledging the holiness of the moment. The angel said, "Go with the men, but only speak the word that I tell you." Thus, Balaam arrived before King Balak. In the high places of Baal, he prepared to curse Israel, but as he opened his mouth, only blessings flowed forth. "How shall I curse whom God has not cursed? Or how can I denounce whom the Lord has not denounced?" Every word was ordained, confounding Balak and the elders, who were desperate for their undoing. The praises of Israel rang true in the land, and whispers of their victories reverberated. With each sacred declaration, God's providence was revealed, blessings instead of curses flowed from the lips of a reluctant prophet who wrestled with righteousness and greed, yet, amidst the blessings, the sovereignty of God continued to weave a narrative that echoed through the ages, hinting at a promise still to be fulfilled, one that would transcend nations and generations. With every blessing uttered, the heart of Balaam wrestled not merely with his confusion, but with a burgeoning realization of a divine plan yet unfulfilled. What would become of Israel and this enigmatic prophet trapped between two worlds? What would thou behold next as the one who speaks in wonders continued to lay the path for his people? The unfolding mystery awaited all who would listen and believe. And it came to pass, as the days of wandering drew to a close, that the Israelites found themselves encamped on the plains of Moab, gazing across the Jordan River at the land of promise. Still, the journey had been long, marked by trials and triumphs, and the lessons learned in the wilderness resonated deep within their hearts. As Moses gathered the assembly, a hush fell over the multitude, eager yet apprehensive. Moses, now aged but ever resolute, stood before the people and spoke with the authority of the Lord. Hear, O Israel! The time has come for you to enter the land that the Lord your God has promised to your forefathers. It is a land flowing with milk and honey, a gift bestowed upon you by his unwavering love. But remember, your journey has not been in vain, it has forged you into a people of faith and devotion. As he spoke, Elimelech felt a warmth wash over him, the truth settling into his very soul. It was as if the weight of doubt that had burdened his heart for so long was being lifted away. The stories of God's deliverance echoed in his mind: the parting of the Red Sea, the sweetening of bitter waters, the provision of manna. He felt the surge of hope swell within, weaving through the fabric of the assembly like golden threads of destiny. Moses continued, though trials await you, remember the covenant the Lord has made with you. Cling to his promises and walk in his ways. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God, who goes before you into this land, and he will defeat your enemies. Upon this declaration, the hearts of the Israelites began to resonate with conviction. Caleb and Joshua, the faithful spies, stepped forward, reminding the people, do not be afraid of the giants in the land, for they are but bread for us. The Lord is with us, he has already delivered our foes into our hands. The assembly erupted in praise, yet doubt still lingered in the hearts of some. Elimelech could see flickers of fear dancing in their eyes as whispered concerns arose. What if we fall? What if we fail? But the Spirit of the Lord moved like a gentle wind, capturing the attention of all. Fear not. Came the booming voice of the Lord, resonating through the camp. For I have not brought you this far to abandon you. I will fight for you. You need only to be still, and I shall deliver your enemies into your hands. The assembly responded in unison, Amen. Their voices combined, strong and vibrant. Tears flowed freely, cleansing the doubts and fears, washing away the remnants of the past. Elimelech, in that sacred moment of unity, found a renewed spirit of commitment rise within him. He knew the Lord had transformed his heart through years of wandering, shaping him for this very moment. Take possession of the land. Moses commanded, his voice clear and unwavering. Follow Joshua, your new leader, as he leads you in battle. Remember to hold fast to each other, to the commandments of the Lord, and to the testimony of his faithfulness. As they prepared to march forth into the land flowing with milk and honey, the people turned to the river that lay before them, the barrier that stood between promise and fulfillment. They trembled both with fear and excitement, standing on the precipice of destiny. The moment arrived, the priests bearing the Ark of the Covenant took a step into the rushing waters of the Jordan. Miraculously, as their feet touched the surface, the river parted, just as it had done before. Awe swept through the assembly, and they crossed on dry ground, a living testament to the miraculous nature of their God. Once across, they gathered stones from the riverbed, obeying the command of the Lord to create a memorial and everlasting sign of his handiwork, destined to remind future generations of his mighty acts. Elimelech placed his stone with trembling hands, gratitude overflowing in his heart. As they approached Jericho, they prepared for battle, fortified by the great works of their God. The walls before us will not withstand the power of our Creator. Joshua proclaimed, inspiring courage in their hearts. The people shouted, echoing their faith back to heaven. Thus, the Israelites, strengthened by their trials and empowered by the Almighty, marched confidently forward into their inheritance. The promise was fulfilled, the long journey now culminating in a rich bounty and a renewed identity as God's own, a holy nation, and they stood together, Elimelech at the forefront, the first of many who would claim the land of Canaan, as the generations ahead would see the magnificent unfolding of God's plan, one nurtured by the wilderness, perfected in faith, and sealed with divine purpose. As the sun set over the promised land, a new era began. The echoes of their history turned into songs of deliverance, carrying forth a legacy of faithfulness, a legacy destined to inspire countless souls to look upon the mighty God who leads his people still. In this moment, dear friends, may your hearts align with the story of transformation. Let the trials of your own wilderness guide you towards faith and trust in his plan. If this powerful testament has blessed you, I invite you to subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next unfolding stories from Scripture's depths. Leave a like now to help spread God's word through the algorithm and share this truth with those who need it. Comment your reflections, and how this story of faith has moved you in your journey with the Lord. Don't wait even one more second. Share this with 5 friends today, for only true believers know the importance of lifting each other up in God's glorious truth. God bless you all.